The status of Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg isn't looking too good right now. His company is once again facing lawsuits. The social network's market launch on Friday resulted in a sharp share price nosedive, with several investors set to take legal action against the company as well as the banks involved in the flotation. Well, let's get the timeline straight now from RT's Gani Chichikan.
A group of investors has launched a class action suit against Facebook and several banks. Now, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, are also looking into possible fraud on the first day of Facebook stock sales last week. Investors say they lost billions of dollars because the banks, which prepared the initial offering price, beefed up the price, knowing that Facebook's latest performance report showed weakened growth. So the claim is that a select group of participants in this IPO, which includes Facebook itself and investment banks like Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, drummed up investor support for the social network stock in the run-up to the IPO, put a price tag on it of $38 per share while withholding information from the public about Facebook's weakening growth due to Facebook's expansion on mobile devices, which means that they get to sell less ads. Those are the allegations. Needless to say that the shares plunged in the coming days and now stabilized at around $32. Those who lost are those who bought at the initial offering price put forward by Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs. As it happens on Wall Street, somebody made a killing. Certainly not the small investors who believe the assessment of those companies. It looks like it's going to be a long process. The law here is tricky as to what could or could not be considered as withholding information. But many are sure that the excellent lawyers of those banks will certainly find a way out of this. After all, those banks, namely Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, pulled off much more complicated schemes, the ones that led to the financial crisis of 2008 when they played around with mortgage-backed securities. Not only did the crisis hit the U.S. economy, but it affected the whole world. And nobody was prosecuted for any of that. So the Facebook IPO was probably like a walk in the park for them. Analysts give several reasons why corporations can get away with a lot on Wall Street. One of them is the complexity of the operations, when only insiders understand what's really going on and the public can be easily duped. And another one, the government is not very eager to regulate them.
Well, financial analyst Margaret Bogenreef believes Facebook's finances will not be too badly affected by its drop in share price, but says the whole story will eventually burst some flotation bubbles.
There are two pricing issues. What we're seeing from, kind of the release of documents and people speaking is what these insiders did is they priced the Facebook stock in two different ways. They said retail purchasers, people like you and me, will pay $40 a share given the information that has been released from Facebook. But insiders or institutional investors will only pay $32 a share. And that is arguably where that $38